Welcome. This is Bill Swartz in Scottsdale, Arizona. And this is Rideshare Redemption, my story from riches to rags to rideshare. Today's episode is entitled, What is My Product? Before I get to that, let me rattle off a brief update on progress this first week and what it means. I got my car on Monday afternoon, and by the end of the day Tuesday, all the documents were accepted by Lyft. I drove 3 days this week, 26 hours online, 23 hours driving passengers. I gave 59 rides, took in gross revenue of $505.57, and I got a 5-star rating from every single passenger thus far. If you take the numbers above, they equate to 2.3 rides an hour. So if I take these stats and extrapolate them to the future, assuming I don't improve at all, I do 2.3 rides an hour. If I do 40 hours a week, based on this 3 days, I will generate $19.45 total per hour in revenue, which means I've got to cover the cost of the car with 19 hours of work, and I get 21 hours out of that 40 hours to put into my pockets. That's 21 hours times $19.45 an hour. I'll be making, based on those projections, gross income of $400 a week, which is exactly the target I set out in this process and goal that I had over time. So here's what I've been thinking about this week. What is my product? Now, Lyft's product is an on-demand car and driver. But what is my product? And if for sake of argument, my product were simply Lyft's product, a car ride, then would I not just be a prop in the equation as opposed to delivering some useful value? A crash test dummy for all intents and purposes. So I kept pressing the question to myself, what is my product? And I started with some of the obvious possible answers. First, I offer a place where it's all about them and their comfort and safety. And then, it's an experience. I offer an experience. But neither of those were what I was looking for. A few steps later, I am the product. The product is me. Man, I really like that one. I love the idea of being the product. Loved it. And the narcissist in me lobbied pretty hard for that to be the final answer, but it wasn't. As cool as I am, I had to accept I'm the product. Cool. You feel me? With that, I turned to my passengers for insight, or rather, I reflected on each of the rides that I'd given. I reflected on what they had said and the stories they told and what they wanted to hear. I was searching for hidden cues to the intention and purpose behind what they had said, using that as a trail of breadcrumbs to lead back to the source, in a sense. And while I did that, a swirl of insights, mantras, and lessons came in like atoms and electrons, attaching themselves to this DNA-like thought strand. I realized that the majority of my passengers are transitioning from a place where they wear one hat to a place where they will wear another. These are people transitioning from one of life's battlefields to another. Add to that, there's a vulnerability for many individuals inherent in the act of getting into the back of a stranger's car. Another fascinating piece is that there is a rideshare driver and experience mythology of sorts that exists for many passengers. At the most extreme tip of this iceberg is the passenger who sees the driver as someone who, based on their experience, has the power to dole out Yoda-like wisdom and enlightenment. One passenger told me, and I quote, "All my best life advice has come from random Uber drivers." I'm sure her mom and dad would be very pleased to hear that. My point is that there is the expectation of the possibility of something random and magical happening for a not insignificant segment of passengers. Add to that another smaller segment with the opposite expectation, the expectation that something rude, scary, or simply less than ideal will occur, which makes that group especially appreciative or relieved when you are none of the things they feared you would be. All told, we have an audience with one primary thing in common, in my estimation. The majority would like to be truly surprised in one direction or the other. I factored in things like the intimacy and confessional-like physicality of the space inside the car, combined with the anonymity that accrues to the person in the back who speaks but is not looked at directly. Not unlike laying on a therapist's couch and speaking to the ceiling while waiting to receive wisdom from the voice of the provider. Steve Jobs was adamant that customers can't possibly know what they want if they have never experienced the thing being designed. I took that to heart in this exercise. Before I share the outcome, the product of my product thinking, if you will, it's important to add my personal intention. So my mission is not to give my customer what they want. My mission is to craft what I have into what they want. And what I have is a desire to make amends to God and the universe for a lifetime spent selfishly focused on myself. I wish to touch the heart of every person I encounter in some way, without expecting to know if and when I do. We all have the ability to heal ourselves, but many of us need to find a place of peace and permission to do so. Back to the product. What is my product? Again, not Lift's product, my product. It's not me, and it's not a place or a thing. So get your pencils out. You're going to want to write this down. The product I plan to design, create, deliver, and perfect is an opening in time. Let me say that again. The product I plan to design, create, deliver, and perfect is no less than an opening in time. Now, you may say, Bill's been spending too much time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that may be. However, I'm actually speaking about something that exists in history. Aristotle, the ancient Greek philosopher, created what is considered the most important book ever written on the subject of persuasion and influence, entitled Rhetoric. In it, Aristotle wrote of something he called kairos, K-A-I-R-O-S, kairos. Kairos is an ancient Greek word meaning the right or opportune moment. Kairos is actually a space between time. Kairos is an opening in time. Time itself, what we know as sequential time, is called chronos. Kairos is effectively a hole in time through which an idea may pass. Think about that. Kairos is an organic, instantaneous, and amorphous, tiny rip in time through which a powerful idea can enter the consciousness of an individual. The individual is in control of what they do with the idea or thought. However, the moment itself, kairos itself, can be created by someone. Someone can facilitate kairos, should facilitate kairos, according to Aristotle, by the agent of the idea being offered. In rhetoric, kairos is a passing instant. A passing instant when, and I quote from Aristotle, an opening appears and must be driven through with force. In the New Testament, kairos means the appointed time in the purpose of God. The appointed time in the purpose of God. I would like to slightly broaden it for our purposes here, if I might be so bold, to the appointed time in the purpose of goodness. Before you think I'm talking about dispensing wisdom, let me say I am not. I have no wisdom. I have mistakes. And those mistakes led to truth. I'm not the force. However, I trust the force. And so my goal is to create kairos, a momentary hole in time through which truth can travel from something greater into the heart and mind of my passenger, in tune with what they desire and what they need, intuitively controlled by them. So, what is my product? Kairos is my product. An opening in time where anything positive is possible. Anything positive is possible. The next question then is, how do I accomplish that? I hope you'll tune into the next episode to find out what I come up with. Peace.